Welcome to the Game Masters Book Club, where great fiction becomes your next great tabletop role-playing experience. It is the world of the future, thousands of years after the Great Death, but artifacts from the past may be the key to the future. Scott Legault, Chris Grannis, and David Clarkson are our Game Master guides to this future world of psionics, clones, and absolutely nothing to do with Zardos. It's Sterling E. Lehner's 1973 science fiction classic, Hero's Journey. Let's get into the conversation. All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the Game Masters Book Club. And this week we're going to be talking about a true classic of the sci-fi and fantasy field, Hero's Journey by Sterling Lanier. I am joined again by three amazing game masters, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you. Hero's Journey takes place in a post-apocalyptic landscape very similar to, and perhaps one that directly inspired Gamma World. So I thought I'd have our GMs introduce themselves and tell you about their favorite Gamma World mutation. So I'm going to start off with you, Chris. Chris, would you mind telling the folks who you are, a little bit about your gaming self, and a little bit about your favorite mutant power from Gamma World?
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Chris Grannis. I have been gaming for, more than 40 years. Started off with the original D&D way back in the 4 times, though I am a second generation gamer, which is always fun to say. My mom played the original white box D&D, so there we go.
Shout out to Chris's mom.
Shout out to mom. My favorite mutation from Gamma World, quite frankly, they're all great. By all great, I mean I'd take any of them. That's pretty cool. Extra limbs is probably the coolest there, but objectively the best one would be telekinesis for the mental mutations. So gonna go there. And just so you know, I did random roll as well, and I got poison touch. I'd take it, I guess.
Hey, maybe it could be like a super cool anti-cancer poison, chemotherapy kind of poison. That would be kind of.
It could. Or just, slip a handshake in there for, certain people.
There you go. Also true. Dave, would you mind introducing yourself and tell the folks about your favorite mutant power?
I will do that. Thank you, Eric. My name is David Clarkson. I also have been gaming for nigh 40 plus years since I encountered a second edition D&D and got to play a gnome illusionist that the GM, who later became my friend, but at the time, gave me a golem figure and said, "That's a gnome." And I looked at it and said, "That doesn't look very gnomish," but I took it anyways, and I've learned differently since then. Going back to Gamma World, my favorite mutation when I generated a Gamma World character was dual brain, because I could sleep and get stuff done at the same time and have extra psionic powers. 2 brains in your head.
Isn't that the dream, to be able to sleep and get work done at the same time? What could be better than that? Scott, you want to introduce yourself and tell the folks about your favorite Gamma World mutant power?
Hey, everybody. My name is Scott Legault. I, as the oldest of this group, have been gaming for a little bit longer than them. Not quite 50 years, but pretty close. I played the original Gamma World. I played the original Dungeons & Dragons when I first started playing with my older brother from college. I was a dwarf, first edition dwarf, and I think I died 3 times the first night, and we killed a dragon, and that was it. I was hooked, and that was a long time ago. As to Gamma World, I would probably say my favorite mutant power would be sentient animals. I think that's pretty cool, having sentient animals to be different characters. So
yeah, you're going to be you're going to take the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle route, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you're probably more like a bear or a lion, but yeah.
Oh, that's definitely going to come into play when we start talking about the book. My name's Eric Jackson, and I think I'm as close to Scott as anybody gets here. I've been playing since the Pleistocene, so that puts me in definitely old guy territory. But my favorite mutant power, I actually went through like Chris, and I just was like, yes, all of these are awesome, and I'm going to roll. My favorite mutant power was definitely the one that I rolled first, which was berries. That you could produce berries with various toxins. I was like, okay, that wins. I'm good. I could produce random berries from my body and give them to people, and there can you be poisoned, or they could give you magic powers. Who knows?
How you produce them is the question there.
That is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Now
we just go right into DCC there.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's for book club after dark.
Book club after dark. Anywho, all of this is to set the scene for our book for this week, which is Hero's Journey, as I said, by Sterling Lanier. For those of you who don't know Sterling Lanier, if that's not a name that rings in your mind. Not only was he an author and apparently a sculptor who had his work exhibited in the Smithsonian, but perhaps his most greatest claim to fame is that he's an editor for a publisher called Chilton, and he bought a little book that nobody else wanted, and it was called Dune, and he was the editor of Dune. So those are his bona fides.
Can I add something there? He actually lost his job at Chilton because the first time they published it, it didn't do well.
It was like, oh, it's a terrible book, Sterling. You're out.
He took one for the team.
We owe Sterling quite a bit here, but I'm going to talk a little bit about his work, which is The Hero's Journey, which is set in a world ravaged by nuclear exchange with radioactive wastelands and strange mutated beasts, a decimated human population. Some of those mutated beasts are gigantic, some strange, some with human-like intelligence. This backdrop, we get our adventuring party, as it were, hero, a priest, his intelligent moose or morse, whose name is Klutz, a young intelligent bear, there's Scott's intelligent bear named Gorm, and Lucaire, a captive young woman who they rescue who turns out to be a princess. Our party is beset by tribes, beasts, and other dangerous environments, but their real foes are the unclean, a death cult that seeks to control all life or destroy it. Both the unclean and Heroes Party seek a piece of ancient technology, a computer, whose existence was recently uncovered. As they race towards the mysterious MacGuffin, a romance occurs between the two humans. They also encounter a giant mutant fungus. They discover that their adversary is, in fact, clones of each other. It's crazy. Themes of environmentalism, animal rights, and the centering of non-white characters as protagonists is very impressive, especially given this book's 1973 publication date. But the story also retains the straightforward plots and black and white morality of early sci-fi and fantasy. So, Scott, this book was one of your favorites. What other themes do you think the GMs at home need to know about it?
It's definitely a good versus evil overall kind of series. There are actually 2 books. There was supposed to be 3, but he died before the 3rd one came out. But it is definitely like Star Wars is good versus evil. It's good versus evil. There is it's a cautionary tale, I believe, even though they're all searching for remnants of the past computers to use to empower themselves. There is the cautionary tale of what is the cost of that. The humans in the world are pretty decimated. There's like little groups in what was left of North America. That's where it takes place. I think it asks the reader to say, is this worth it?
And they also have the 11ers,
yes,
which joined the 11th commandment, thou shalt not destroy the earth or the life thereon.
They try to be neutral. Yes, they try to be neutral.
Yeah, which luckily they're not very good at because, they're definitely needed.
They lean towards keeping the most of the people that are left alive.
Didn't the Leaveners feel a little like Baron, like this sort of like separate, really powerful thing that was sitting on the outside, or the Ents, this sort of separate power?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Well, they definitely came across as druidic, so there's definitely like the tie-in to nature was really big with them. So yeah, they do come across a little like the Ents, like, that's not our problem until you stick us with it.
But they also served as the mentor role. They had the wise advising and sending forth kind of thing and putting the heroes together.
Yeah, but you don't realize that until later in the book that the 11ers are actually a bigger part of controlling the priesthood.
Yep.
Not so much controlling, but recommending. So
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think they also provided some hope.
Yes.
Some hope that there was a way out of a way to civilize without having to fall into the hands of the unclean ones, and because they were utilizing technology, whereas others were not so much. Whereas the 11ers showed that there's another way to rebuild the world.
Right, because the unclean were using the technology they had found, but they're using it to create other races of servant creatures. And then there's the mental power thing, which really is what comes from this book that fell directly into first edition D&D.
I gotta say, hats off to Sterling for predicting that the internet would be the downfall of civilization even back before it was created.
See, here I thought we were going to congratulate him for making Appendix N in the DMG right there. I was like, oh, it's a congratulations on making Appendix N and predicting the end of the world. Good job.
Yes.
But if you look at that, they really Appendix N, first edition D&D really kind of did take the system, you want to call it system, the system that was written here, although it wasn't a mechanic, and took it almost directly into first edition D&D.
Yeah.
It's only once its second edition came around that they mangled it. But before that,
A lot of it's word for word.
pretty straightforward, like, hey, all these ideas are good, we're going to use them.
Yeah, agreed, Chris. They do take some of the psionic capabilities and turn them right around and just drop them right into this book, and drop them right into first edition.
Which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because it really doesn't work in first edition.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But the thing we were talking about, psionic abilities and them not working on people that don't have psionics, that came
Yeah,
right
yeah.
out of this. So
Which, unless you fight a lot of mind flayers, isn't all that useful.
The one strange side note, my very first character, the first character that I played with any consistency, which was Exor the Paladin, he had a very limited psionic ability. So he was kind of like, he very much had a Superman kind of thing where it was like, I'm pretty good at doing all this defending stuff, but if anybody figures out that some of the tricks I can do are psionic, he was like easy to defeat because he didn't have a lot of skill. He just had like a minor ability, but he could be affected by it. So that was my earliest character.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah, I always loved the psionic rules and wanted to play more with them, but of course they gatekeeped them quite a bit in second edition.
First edition, there was literally like between a 1 and 9% chance, if you maxed out all your skills, of having psionic abilities. And as everyone who has played first edition when there were 12 knows, that's almost guaranteed that you have.
Yeah, everybody has that. Yeah. We've already sort of crept our way close to the mechanics subject here. So why don't we go all the way and jump right into that? Dave, can you tell the folks if they've read Hero's Journey and they want to run something just like it, what system do you think would best evoke the Hero's Journey?
Oh, what system? Well, of course, I'm going to go to my favorite, and I've been musing over this because, of course, the obvious Mutant Crawl Classics, part of the Dungeon Crawl Classics line, comes to mind. It's clearly got the DNA of Gamma World directly in it, and it's intentional. There's make no bones about it in the introduction to the book. So they're really trying to emulate that feel of it. But the one problem with Mutant Crawl Classics is it's whimsical, got some randomness in it, but digging through my archives, I did find one of my friends in DCC, Tim Callahan, did publish a fanzine and put some rules together for DCC called Crawljammer. And they're basically meant to emulate Spelljammer, but they also can be ported right into any DCC product. And he has a Psychic Knight, which would absolutely be perfect for Hero. So, long story short, I would definitely want to use my favorite MCC, but I'd want to have the ability for a character like Hero to have some reliable abilities that you could count on so you could go into battle and know I can do these things. And most of the time they're going to work well unless my opponent is tougher. And he really did try to emulate Tim Callahan did really try to emulate the psionics system from old D&D, just like Chris was talking about, where psionics work best when you've got two psionic masters facing each other off, and untrained people really don't have a part to play in all of that. So that would be my first start.
That's a fantastic resource. Thank you.
yeah, nice job, Dave.
Scott, do you want to continue on?
Sure. I think I would pick, well, obviously Gamma World, but we can't, right? We've agreed not to.
Right in the first pages of Gamma World, it's basically like, we took all this from Sterling Lanier, so it seems like the obvious choice.
So I would say I'd try Mutant Year Zero, vaguely newer RPG, maybe about 4 or 5 years old now. It's very similar to Apocalypse World. I think that would probably be my pick. I actually got a chance to play it a couple times. There are sentient animals in it. Characters can play different animals as sentient creatures, bipeds and things like that. So I think that I would try, if I was going to take it kind of directly as the story and drop the environment and everything into a game, yeah, I think I would try that.
Chris, you want to continue on with the conversation here?
Sure, yeah. I mean, obviously Gamma World, duh, but I would enjoy, and it would require some heavy modification, my friends, but I would enjoy adapting the One Ring to it. Reasoning being here is that the One Ring does hex crawls and journeys better than most games that I have seen. And one of the things that I've really intrigued me about about the book is that it felt like an old school hex crawl. And by that I mean, the adventure that they were on was an exploratory one. They were, going from place to place, and things were different in each spot as they were going through, and they had to deal with all of the challenges the same way you would in a game. I like the One Ring's methodology of the journeys. You plot out your journey, and then you basically go forth and how you deal with that journey phase. Obviously, you'd have to adapt the classes and the races to be more post-apocalyptics, but it does support fiddling with. So that would be what I would go.
It's almost like each session was a chapter in the book,
Yeah, no, I'd back
like
that
a
up.
gaming session. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Oh, it definitely tracks. And back Chris up, I've played his game with One Ring, and yeah, it's an amazing system where they really do make the choices you make along the way matter quite a bit.
And it is a narrative journey too. So, the adventure bit, when you get there, it's like, okay, now we're fighting such. But as you're going through there, it's like I saw something horrifying by the road. What is it?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I love the question and answer type.
Yeah.
techniques. So
There's this really cool supplement that I picked up, I think about 2 years ago. It's called the Ultraviolet Grasslands and the Black City Psychedelic Metal Role Playing. So I wasn't thinking in terms of
Yeah, that could definitely.
all right.
Wow.
yeah, I wasn't thinking in terms of a hex crawl, but if you wanted to supplement Chris's hex crawl, this is the book you would like smoosh together with the One Ring to get your setting.
So when are you running that for us, Eric?
What am I running? The last time I recorded, not with you guys, I got asked the same question when I came up with a brilliant idea like that. I just have a bunch of campaigns I need to run here. To be fair, though, I probably wouldn't pick the Ultraviolet Grasslands as my primary pick. I think Darwin's World by Dominic Covey is the way I would go. I would probably choose the second edition, which is the D20 version, although no problem if you like the Savage World edition version. So whichever one is your favorite, you can do that. I like how that game focuses on the genetic mutations and also has a real solid faction building section for the game master. So this has, obviously, we've got the Unclean, and then we've got the 11ers. And so that seemed like it fit this really well. It includes scavenging rules, which is crucial to building up your characters, almost as important as it would be to collect magic items in D&D. It is very focused on sci-fi, so there's no magical Thundar, like no Ariel the Sorceress can, and that sort of thing. And the one thing I don't like about the basic rules, and I haven't had a chance to check, no robots. I mean, I know there were no robots in the book, but if I'm going to play a post-apocalyptic sci-fi, eventually I'm going to need a crazy robot to fight.
You could make a case for the Unclean being some kind of synths.
And they're making this mutating the other races and doing that other stuff. So, yeah, but I would say Darwin's World or the One Ring and the Ultraviolet Grasslands and the Black City Psychedelic Metal role-playing, because it's fun to say that.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. You did mention, I do want to bring up, we talked earlier when we were hashing over the book about Thundar the Barbarian, which you could also throw in. There's a lot less magic in this book. So
this is a pretty straight sci-fi book.
If you wanted to add magic, you could easily pull Thundar or anything from that realm in as well.
So I gotta say, there's no magic, but there's psionics, and quite frankly, they are functionally the same in a role-playing game. You can just say, "Hey, all of my spells are actually psionic powers," and boom, you're
surprise! Now we've got our magic. We're already going down the road of stuff we'd like from this book that we think is portable, that we'd like to bring into our own role-playing games. So, Scott, why don't you lead off? Start with one, because I know you have more than one. I promise you can do cleanup as well if we miss anything. What's your favorite thing that you'd want to steal from this book and drop into your own game?
Oh, boy. I love the environment. I do. Like the giant behemoth frog creatures, the giant fungus, the intelligent fungus. I love that weird science part of it. That's like the post-apocalyptic stuff that, these things only came out because, we blew up the world. I love that part of it. So I'd probably take the environment first. And running a campaign in it would be fun.
Dave, what is your favorite portable piece from A Hero's Journey?
Oh, There's a lot of things in there, of course, that others will bring up. But one of the things that I really liked about Sterling's book was the way that he would describe the old technology. He did a good job of making it familiar and mysterious at the same time, which has often been a challenge running post-apocalyptic role-playing game. It's so easy to say, it looks like a microwave, and everybody at the table knows what you're talking about, but that's not really the goal. You want them to go, this weird, mysterious thing that I have a vague feeling about, but it still is unfamiliar and strange. And he did a good job of describing the antenna thing that they use for psychic stuff and the machine that they use to try to probe his mind. All those things were really interesting descriptions. So I would steal some of that stuff right out of it so that I could do a better job at my role-playing game table.
But I once befuddled an entire party trying to get them into a post-apocalyptic Disney world when they couldn't figure out how to use the coin tokens to go through the turnstile, because I just kept, I wouldn't tell them it was a turnstile. I described it, and they just were like, well, okay, if I push on it, what happens if I pull? So yes, not quite a door, but defeated by a door is pretty common in gaming. But
that's awesome. Yeah.
These metal posts, it's just such a puzzle.
I can't get past these metal posts.
And then when they were all done, when they finally figured it out, they were like, it's a turnstile. Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Chris, what would you want to port over from the Hero's Journey?
I really liked the clone wizards, or the clone psionics, the unclean.
They're good bad guys.
Because it's the same guy. They were a great bad guy.
They were creepy.
And they appealed to me on a couple of levels. First of all, there's always the danger of the PCs killing off your big bad too early if you want to introduce him. And you want to get the big bad in there, but you also don't want to kill off the characters, and you don't want to have him killed off too fast. So if you have clones of the same guy, problem solved.
You can kill that guy all the time.
Yeah.
He's back again.
He's back. He's back. So, and also, for the lazy GM in me, it's like, oh, I just have to deal with one voice and one, music cue if I can do that. I like the clone wizard thing. They're all connected, but it's the same guy, but it's not the same guy.
Cue the theremin and use the nasally voice, and you're all set.
Exactly.
I promise I will let everybody say more if they want, but I just want to put in that I love the Morse. Anytime you can give me a weird, crazy mount, I'm going to be excited, and especially this giant monster of a moose mount that you could have there. That was fantastic. Klutz is I am Team Klutz all the way. He's fantastic. And the whole thing reminded me also of, I'm going to throw in a quick book suggestion here. There's a book by Anna Lee Newitz called The Terraformers, and they have flying moose in that world. They're a little bit more like...
That sounds horrible.
It's fantastic. They're also hyper intelligent and peaceful, so you're okay. Don't worry, you're not going to die. But as the name The Terraformers implies, that book is also sort of instead of rebuilding a world, it's the building of a world. So it has a lot of the same feeling, and they use the moose to get around to a lot of different places. So that's my, that's what it reminded me of instantaneously. And I was like, yes, more moose riding envy. Scott, go ahead. I know you got more you want to throw in.
Yeah. So I love the fact that they allude, this is definitely like this world. He's carrying a weapon from the Second World War. He's got like a bolo knife that's been passed down through generations. That he has a thrower. He has basically a form of a gun. It fires little rockets. They're hideously expensive to make, and he's only got so many, and they can actually take out a large creature. But then, of course, in the course of the book, he loses it, right? I love the fact that they pull in stuff to make you realize that it is this. There's a bunch of stuff like that just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the first the trope of the ruined Earth.
Yeah, yeah.
This is actually, I was doing some research. This is one of the earlier versions of that trope.
Yeah, no, it works, because when you hear stuff like on his sword, it says US like 1911 or something like that, which is on an old weapon, right? So kind of cool. And, there is still some places like the priesthood, they don't practice celibacy, but down south they do. There's all this stuff that's left over from eons before, right?
Very far in the future. That's one of the things that
eons.
that kind of bugged me that so far in the future, but that just, took me out of some of it because it's like, oh, well, 5,000 years from now, still a little too much still around, I guess, for my taste. But that's
Huh,
just,
really? Huh.
Yeah, I bet Chris was all upset because he's like, oh no, definitely there'd be more language drift than the Atlantic versus the Atlantic in 5,000 years.
that was one of the things. Yeah, it was
Mm.
also the language drift, the fact that some of those things were still usable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it gives the reader a reference point, though.
Mhm.
Because you got to remember, this at the time, this is a pretty new concept. There wasn't a lot written about post-apocalyptic stuff when this came out.
In my world, it's only 1,000 years in the future. So, yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm.
Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to add in?
Absolutely. I haven't quite mentioned the psionics, which I know we've alluded to before. The fact that he describes the psionics in the manner that he does made me really intrigued because you consider when this book was written, he's got a more science-y explanation of the psionic powers. They're not mystical, spiritual, the great spirit is giving me some insight. This is, I follow the mental pathways and then I manipulate his mind by, being on the same channel with him. And that was a relatively new concept at the time. It was only the 40s into the 60s that they developed their idea of how psychic powers might work. They could prove that they were real. And before that, it was all spiritualism and spirits from beyond and being in touch with feelings and stuff like that. I definitely like the way that he pulled that in and definitely used a much more scientific explanation for psychic ability.
This book only comes out like 2 or 3 years before Leonard Nimoy is doing In Search of on TV.
Yeah.
And the bravest little hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The scientific explanation for psychic powers really wasn't developed till like 1947, when it really was published and started really discussing how it possibly could work biologically, chemically, physically, those sorts of things.
I'm going to echo Eric's because of I was thinking more the sentient bears. I really liked
Yeah.
here's another distinct race of creatures we know about, but what happens if they're intelligent and how is their difference in their intelligence?
Yeah, they think differently than us. Yes.
They think differently, but they can communicate, which is great. There is this sort of deeper level that's like, oh, this guy's like a lot smarter than I expected there. And
Right.
that kind of discovery was so much fun and nature bound and irrespective.
Even Klutz is smarter than he thought he was.
Exactly. It starts out with, oh, it's my dumb Morse that I really enjoy, and I'm happy, I'm respectful of him. And then it's like,
Yeah, I can tell it to keep watch, right? So,
he's a lot smarter than I've been giving credit for. I have to my own prejudice on this guy. I like that.
and he does, which is another thing in the book that you see him do. He does have some preconceived notions about things, and he does change his mind about some stuff, which is interesting.
There was the allowance for character growth. There was allowance for growth as a person, and you walked along with them for that. I like that. I like that a lot.
And again, 1973.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, plenty of books in 2025 that don't do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell
Yeah,
great.
no, it was one of the reasons I really wanted us to read this and talk about it because I read this as a kid. I think I was, I don't know, 13 or 14 when I read it. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then there's mental powers and this and that. It was right around the time I started playing D&D and I'm like, wow. Oh, and then I picked up Play Gamma World. Like, hey, this is like just like that book.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but then, over the years, I've always had a copy of it sitting on my shelves in my house, and I occasionally give it to people to read and get it back. I was like, yeah, this would be a great book to talk about because it meant a lot to me. It's like this wild book. And when it was written, there wasn't anything else like this. I don't remember reading anything else like this for years. So
Thanks, Scott, for recommending it. It's one of the books on the Appendix N list that I hadn't read.
I will recommend you read the second book, too. It's called The Unforsaken Hero. And it's his continuation, fighting the unclean in the Tague and the Palud in North America.
It is on my list.
Hmm.
I've got like 9 in front of it, though. So
It's worth reading. I actually read them both when I read this one. Again, I just read the second one as well. And from what I understand, there is a possibility that his daughter is going to publish the third. I don't know. I heard something like
yeah, I When I did my research, it sounded like she was going to publish the third in like the 90s. So I wouldn't hold out a lot of hope.
Yeah, so maybe no, but hey, you never know.
Obviously, our first recommendation is going to be read the second book. Do we have other recommendations, other media recommendations that if you wanted to get the same vibe as this book? Again, Scott pointed out that at the time it was the first of what it was doing, but there's been some time, and there's been a lot of other books that I think can or do sound a little bit like this, or sort of rhyme with it, as it were. Dave, do you want to tell us about the books that you think might vibe with this book that would go along with it?
Well, media, you mean?
Yeah, media. Yeah, not just books. Sorry, I tend to be pretty prejudiced, but I'll take any media.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a book recommendation, but I'm going to say the name that we swore we would not say because it's true. It is absolutely true. Zardoz is absolutely inspired by this sort of setting. And, the costume choices of Sean Connery are a little suspect.
Unimpeachable.
Unimpeachable. Yes, unimpeachable. I've seen that movie more than once, and it's got nothing to do with the costume. It's got everything to do with the vibe and the psychedelic mindscapes that he has to deal with, and just the weird world that he's in. If you want to go another direction, is certainly the 70s had lots of different movies, and Barbarella was another one that was very retro future and, had a post-apocalypse feel to it as well. But that one keeps coming to my mind. A lot of the other 70s movies were certainly had that same sort of feeling to it.
Agreed. Logan's Run definitely falls right on that possibility.
I mean, even newer, you could go with Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Chris, did you want to go next?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for your animals, you got your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We talked about them a little bit earlier, but, sentient animals. And as the comics and such go forward, there's more stuff in there. For actual vibe, I'd go The Witcher, the game, the TV show, the books. All of them sort of have that post-apocalyptic running around. It's usually potions rather than psionic powers, but as I said before, it's sort of the same thing, really. It's low magic kind of stuff there. Fallout, the game, and the Amazon show. And I came up with Sweet Tooth.
Oh, yeah.
For your animal hybrids. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
kind of sweet.
Oh, yeah, that was a great show. I enjoyed that.
It's a little lighter post-apocalyptic hybrid monsters, but some of them are very cute post-apocalyptic hybrid monsters. And obviously seconding Zardoz because it makes God upset.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It really does.
Scott, are you ready?
I'm going to talk about movies because I have a name of a series in my head and I can't think of what it is. And I read it and it was like really well done, but I don't remember anything about the name of it. I read so many books, you have to understand.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'll jump into, Mad Max. I'll jump into all the post-apocalyptic movies that we've seen, even like the cheesy ones of the 80s, like, Hell Comes to Frogtown. There's so much. Post-apocalyptic became a huge thing in the late 80s, early 90s. And, a lot of the books that were written were not that good. But there were a few that were pretty good. There's a series, and it ties into actually the Gamma World books. There's a couple of Gamma World books, and I can't remember the name of the book, but if you're a book reader and you know that they made, just like they made TSR, made books for D&D and Forgotten Realms, they made a few books for Gamma World, and that series of books is actually really good. There's a lot of similarities with mutant creatures that can speak in their heads and things like that.
How did I miss that they did a Gamma World series?
They did. There was only a couple. And I have one. Only right now, my bookcases are buried behind a stack of convention stuff, so I can't get to them. So,
can I take a shot at this?
Yeah, please.
Is it the Paul O. Williams Pell Bar cycle? The first book is The Breaking of Northwall.
All right.
I don't think so.
Okay, it was worth a try.
Yeah, that was definitely worth a try. I'm gonna do a little quick search here and see if I can find the name of the book while you guys keep talking.
Because I read Gord the Rogue, so that's the level of horrible D&D stuff that I used to read. But
yeah, I read that.
I've been so all over a Gamma World series.
I read Quag Keep, so I'll read anything.
Oh, I love Quag Keep.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I actually said that recently on a Facebook post. They were talking about who read the oldest gaming book. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got you guys beat. All right, Greg, keep.
Yeah. No, we talked about that when we
Yeah.
did the Dungeon Crawler Carl, when we were talking about lit RPG. We were like, what's the oldest lit RPG? And I put forward that Quagkeep is the oldest lit RPG.
That might be true.
All right. I have read that, so I feel old now. So
Excellent.
good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I am the youngest of the old guys here, so
And you're still old.
I'm still youngest of the old guys.
Total aside, but do you guys remember the movie The Keep?
The Keep, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a
You know,
fantastic
they made a
film.
module out of that.
Oh, really?
Oh,
A
wow.
D&D module. There was a D&D module made out of The Keep.
Yeah.
I used to have one and I sold it.
That was a great movie. It's
Mm.
All right, so I'm going to give a couple recommendations real quick. I'm going to start with books. First off, total classic, Canticle for Leibowitz. Got to put that out there. That's like straight out of your English classroom, post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Really great. For someone who has the strongest of sci-fi pedigrees, I would recommend the Sharing Knife series. The first book is called Beguilement by Lois McMaster Bujold. That has a wandering priestly knight kind of guy who rescues a young princess person in a post-apocalyptic kind of world. So it is really dead on. That is great. For something a bit more modern and a little bit more on the sweet tooth kind of cute, but still post-apocalyptic, I would recommend Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts on Netflix. That one is just a ton and a half of fun. Oh, and I just wanted to throw in, because Chris mentioned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we both agreed, I think we both agreed not to mention After the Bomb by Palladium.
Yes, I think we both were expecting the other one too.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles post-apocalyptic, you should use the After the Bomb RPG. I think that is definitely the way to go there.
It's a bit old school, but yeah.
Yeah, a little old school, but still a great deal of fun. So you found the book. Okay, great. We killed enough time.
All right, so the book is Gamma World. It's called Sooner Dead by Mel Odom, and I believe he only wrote 2 books. I think it's worth reading. I had a fun time reading it.
All right, fantastic. So we got that in. Okay. If it wasn't completely plain, please watch every episode of Thundar the Barbarian.
yes. Oh, absolutely.
Just in general.
That's not just for this book, but just all the way through. Okay, so now that we've done the recommendations and we've talked about the mechanics and the stuff that was portable, that brings us to the end of our time here, gentlemen, and that means it's time to say nice things about each other and the stuff that we're doing.
Uh-huh.
So I have a feeling I know what 2 of our members are going to talk about.
We're so predictable.
So let's just go with Chris first. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, sure. Well, I am going to plug my wife's upcoming novel, which I'm hoping we're going to find a publisher for her. But her first chapter of The Plague Ship, which is a sci-fi novel with her 15-year-old YA heroine Lissa, who's a duct rat who lives in the ducts of a enormous spaceship, which is involved in biowarfare, and she is what's known as a carrier of the plague. So it is all sorts of angst and terrible choices where there's no good answer, with trying to find a new home for both the immunes and the plague carriers being chased after by other ships. First chapter of that is on Embark, which is a literary journal for novelists, the October issue, October 2025, issue 23. So read it and let me know if you like it, because I like it. I'm totally not biased at all.
Not even a little.
Not even a little bit.
What's your wife's name so we can tell the listeners?
It is Denise Grannis.
Fantastic.
All right, so everybody look for Denise's new book.
There'll be a link, I'm sure, Eric. So.
Yes, there will absolutely be a link. Okay, the other 2 gentlemen, I believe you guys are going to talk about the same thing.
Dave, you can go first.
We're plugging the same thing. We're both plugging the Rising Phoenix Game Convention in April of 2026. They're going to be held at the Milford Hilton Doubletree property. It is a gaming con that last year brought in over 500 attendees. RPGs, board games, we run special events for kids, tournaments. It's a great time. Scott, what did I miss? Panels.
Please come this year, 24th to the 26th. Actually, the 23rd is Thursday night. We have a soft opening, so if you come then, we can probably put you in a game too. TTE, Tabletop Events. You can get your tickets. You can go to our website at www.horizonphoenixgamecon.com. Find all the good information. There's a link there that Dave put in there, so you can find yourself a hotel room. You can get yourself a badge. You can buy our really cool new merch we have this year. We got an awesome new t-shirt. T-shirt ties right into our special event this year. We're doing a tournament. You guys remember the old RPGA tournaments back from the 70s and early 80s? We are doing a Shadow Dark tournament where you will be rated as a player, and we will give out great prizes at the end. 40 players are going to go up against the module that I am in the midst of writing right now on Friday night from 7 to 11. So you can jump in. There is a fee, but you get a copy of the module after you've played the game.
Wow.
So the $20 you pay, the module is going to cost $25 at the merch booth. So you'll get basically the module for the cost. So please join us. Get ready for another amazing convention. We have vendors. We have yoga in the morning, so you can limber up before you sit down all day. We're going to have a tarot reader this year. We've got stuff for people that don't really like the game all the time, so you could still come and hang out and have fun. Please think about joining us. Check us out online. We're a cross between a game con and a Ren Fair. We like props, and I have some special new props this year. I'm not going to tell you what they are.
One of the other things that is happening at Rising Phoenix this year is that the Game Masters Book Club will be having not one, not two, but 3 author interviews while we are there. Scott, I can say the names of the guest stars, right? I can do that?
Yeah, I will say, so our special guests this year are Scott Lynch and Elizabeth Bear. So Scott Lynch of Lies of Loch Lamora and Elizabeth Bear, Hugo Award-winning writer of
so many things.
She's got a lot of books. But please come and join us. They're going to be doing some panels. They're going to be doing some games. They're going to sign books. So anything you bring, they'll sign for you. Please come and meet them. They seem like wonderful people. We're going to have a blast. Come join our community and have some fun.
Solid recommend from me too. You'll even get a chance to play in one of my games, which is going to be some really goofy comedy games. So.
All right, fantastic. And that was Hero's Journey by Sterling E. Lehner. Thanks again to our absolutely not cloned game masters, Chris Grannis, David Clarkson, and Scott Legault for their fantastic discussion of this innovative sci-fi dystopian story. Meet up with Dave, Chris, and Scott again when they return to discuss the high-stakes fantasy heist novel Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Tune in 2 weeks when Jason Keeley, Karen Form, and Rob Tremarco jump across worlds to show us Genevieve Cogman's The Invisible Library.
You can find a complete transcript of today's discussion, as well as links to all of our podcasts at k-squareproductions.com/GMBC. You can learn about upcoming episodes on our social media on Blue Sky at gmbookclub.bluesky.social, on Facebook at Game Masters Book Club, on Mastodon at Game Masters Book Club, and on Instagram at Game Masters Book Club. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and comment on our episodes in your chosen podcasting space, and be sure to share those episodes with your gaming community. You've been listening to the Game Masters Book Club, brought to you by me, Eric Jackson, and K-Square Productions. Continued praise and thanks to John Corbett for the podcast artwork and Otis Galloway for our music. Later, gamers, and to paraphrase the great Terry Pratchett, always try to be the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape.